Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great day. And today, we're going to talk about rats. First off, today is cleaning day here at Bleeding Moon Exotics. It's the day that I go through and I give them all fresh bedding. I just cleaned this tub here. There's my male, that's Fred. He's a good male. He's made a lot of babies for me. And there's 3 of his girlfriends that are in this tub. Now, the way that I do mine, as you see that one's nasty. I got a few babies in there. I'm probably going to gas those off today. I got a guy coming to pick them up later. But the way that I do mine is what I do is I just take one of my tubs, and I got this rack over here. This is my grow out rack. I use it for, well, grow outs and help clean, and it's kind of like just a stand for a bunch of crap, as you can see. But I got a bunch of females in there, and I got a bunch of males down in here. And of course, you know, I got to clean those every day or two. They start getting kind of funky. That's what happens when you have that many rats in one tub. But they usually don't last very long, because those are the ones that I feed my snakes out of. And I'm feeding 20 snakes, so they don't really, they go pretty quick. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it, and I'll show you what I do. Like I said, I take one tub right here, and I've got this 6-quart tub that I use. And right now I'm trying this new bedding. This stuff is a shaved pine. I've added Orscheln's. For one, it appears to work rather well, and it's a third of the cost of what I was paying when I was going down to the co-op. So I just take and I fill that tub up right there, and then I got my empty tub up here in the feeder rack. I take and dump it in there like so, spread it all out. Nice thick layer of it in there, you know, because these animals they need a clean environment to live in, and this will soak up all the urine and everything. Now, I do keep these in my house, so as you can imagine, I've got to stay on top of it. And you know, about once a week is what I clean, because that's really all I need to clean, because the smell is at a minimum, even though at any given time I've got about 100 to 150 rats. So, and what I'll do now, my next rat tub that I have to clean here, and I pop out the water nozzle, which has come out pretty easy. Now these, I ordered these from Triple L Reptiles. They're pretty decent ones. I've been using them for a minute. Always check to make sure that it works. Yep, that one works. And then I got these cards on the front of them here that'll tell me what they are, what male went in, and what date, so I can be expecting babies at a certain time. Gestation period on a rat is about 3 weeks. So what I'll do then is I'll look on in here. These 3 girls are all 3 about to drop. I mean, as you can see, look at the size of that one. It's a big old fat girl. I grab them as close as I can to the base of the tail, and then I stick them in the other tub. And you know, I'm trying to do this one-handed. It's a little bit tricky. Of course, you know, got to be careful letting them get out, because that could be definitely a problem. And I put them down in there. And then I grab the next one, and I put it down in there. Now, one of the things that I like to do for my girls that are getting ready to drop is I've got this paper bedding here that I bought a while back, and I stopped using it. But I'll put some of that in there for them as a nesting material, and it works pretty well. Now, what I do for the ones that don't have babies, they don't get none of the paper. All they get is just this small flake pine. Because, well, once they get fur on them, they actually stay pretty clean. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Now, of course, I don't breed all of them all at once. I have 2 males that I cycle through. I've got 8 tubs with 3 females in each tub, and then I've got 2 males that I cycle through because I don't want to get a whole bunch of rats all at once. So I get new rats about I'd say about every week or so, until everybody either has rats or everybody's pregnant, and then I put my males in their own tubs in the bottom of the rack and let them have a little bit of resting time. I learned the hard way that I don't really need a whole bunch of males, and I don't want to leave the males in the tubs, because then you have uncontrolled breeding and it's harder on the females, at least in my experience anyway. Now, like I said, with the ones that don't have babies, I don't give them the paper just because they don't need it. All they need is the pine, which it works out pretty good. So Let's move on to the next tub. And that, guys, is pretty much how I keep my rats. Now, to break it all down for you in a nutshell, like I said, I've got 3 or 8 tubs with 3 females per tub. That's 24 females. I've got 2 males that I rotate through. The males will stay in the tubs with the females for 10 days. Because rats go into heat every 5 days. And I put them in there for 10 days because I figured that after 10 days you should be able to get all 3 of them as long as the females are mature enough. Now, what I do after that is I pull them out and move them on to the next tub. And move them all the way down the whole row until either everybody is pregnant or there are babies in each tub. Which, if neither one of those things happen, he still hits the bottom of the rack and he stays in that tub for 10 days to relax and take a break, and also give the females a bit of a break. This appears to work for me rather well. I guess that's what you guys would call, what is it, harem style breeding or something like that? I don't know. But I tried at first, when I first started raising rats, to leave the males in the tubs with them, and it just didn't work out. I mean, I had males, one male slaughtered all 3 of the females and killed the babies when the females dropped. So, of course, I called him. So, I just went on. I only have 2 males. 1 male for every dozen females is really all that I need. Now, I know there are people out there that won't agree with that, but this is my snake room. I produce enough to feed my snakes, and this is what works for me. That being said, this may not work for you. You might run into issues doing this. But you find out what works for you, and you run with it. Now that I'm done changing all the substrate and all the tubs, what I do is I take my tubs outside, I spray them out, I sterilize them with a little bit of bleach water, scrub them down with some Dawn dish soap to get all the urine and everything out of the plastic that might be in there, and let them dry. That's pretty much it. Now, with wintertime coming on here in eastern Kansas, I am going to end up having to wash them out in the bathtub again, which the female of the house absolutely loves that, as you can imagine. But it's got to be done. Now, is it worth it to raise your own rats? That depends on how many snakes you're feeding. I have 20 snakes that I'm feeding. Well, 18 of them are solely rat eaters. The 2 king snakes, they can take mice, but I'm not raising mice. Mice are nasty, disgusting animals. So I buy my mice frozen. I've got a guy around here that I buy them off of. Other than that, yeah, I've got 18 snakes that eat rats, and I do have to tell you, if I had to buy rats every damn week, you do the math. That's pretty expensive. The pet store averages right around $3 or $4 per. And yeah, I could go and buy them, but then when I figure or could go buy them from a breeder, excuse me. But when you figure the gas it takes to get to wherever the breeder's at and everything like that, it's easier for me to just raise my own. I bought this rat rack from a friend of mine, and it's paid for itself 10 times over, at least. So, in conclusion, is it worth it to raise rats? Yes, it is for me. Now, I feed live. That brings up another topic of discussion. The pros and cons of feeding live versus the pros and cons of feeding frozen. Both have benefits, both have issues. If you feed frozen, and let's say you've only got 1 or 2 snakes, if you feed frozen, you don't have to worry about the snake getting bit. That's good. You don't have to house the rat. That's good. You don't have to feed the rat. That's also good. And the rat doesn't grow. That's also good. However, once you thaw that rat out, if your snake doesn't eat it, then you got to toss it. So you're wasting money. And, that's probably the biggest con of feeding frozen that I've found. Now, when it comes to feeding live, the benefits of feeding live. I don't want to word this. My snakes prefer live. They'll take frozen on occasion, but they definitely prefer live. They like that live, fresh prey. Now, onto the benefits of feeding live. You throw a live rat in there with your snake. If the snake doesn't eat it, you just toss it back in the tub, save it for later. Now, the cons of feeding live are, there's a possibility of the snake getting bit. I've been raising pythons and ball pythons, various snake species, for a long time. I've never had a snake get bit by a rat. Does that mean it doesn't happen? No, it doesn't. My Mojave in there, somewhere along the line, he ended up probably in a cage with a live rat, and he's got a lot of scars on him. Now, none of those are from being here with me, because, well, I only give them about 5 minutes with the rat in the tub, and then I pull it out. If they take it, they take it. If they don't, they wait till next week. Okay, that's one of the cons of it. Another con is when you have live rats grow. If the snake doesn't eat it and you throw it back in the tub, you've got to feed it, you've got to house it, you've got to clean up after it, and they grow. They can quickly get to the size to where your snake won't be able to eat it. However, if you have multiple sizes of snakes, such as I do, I've got everything from hatchling ball pythons all the way up to my 5.5-foot boa. So I'm not really concerned about them getting too big, because my boa will take frozen, and that's the last stop on the growth train for these rats. So, if there's anything I missed, or if you guys have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I'll get to it as quickly as I can. And I'm sure that this video is probably kind of boring, but it's part of the journey of raising your own rats. Part of the journey of having snakes. Part of the journey of having pretty much any sort of reptile. If you're going to have multiple animals, it is just more economically smart, to an extent anyway, to raise your own rats. Now, if I could buy my rats by the 1,000 lot and get them for a good price, I would probably buy frozen and get everybody over on frozen. But a bag of rat food is $35, and that lasts me 2 weeks as of right now. Of course, that time will shorten the more rats that I get. But as opposed to going out and buying 17 or 18 rats at the pet store or off a breeder or whatever like that, because I know there's breeders out there that sell frozen rats. The mediums are $3 a pop, and you take that times, I don't know, 10. That's $30 for 1 week. That's where I can just go out and buy a bag of rat food and get 200 rats out of that and feed my snakes for 2 or 3 months. Now, if you guys have watched this for this long, then there's a little treat for you here. I'm going to show you guys some of my snakes. First off, I'm going to show you Xena. She is my pastel female. I'm trying to breed her this fall. Got a couple locks out of her with my silver streak. I'll post some pictures of that here at the end of the video. But as you can see, she is not a small snake. She's a big girl. She's a good girl. Yeah, that's Xena. She was one of my first ball pythons that I picked up. And she does have a replacement that I'm growing up, so she may be up for sale at some point here in the near future. Anybody that might be interested in her, it's going to be a little bit, but my snake room's not big enough to keep everything that I buy. And then we got this girl here. This is Freya. She is a fire bee. And for those of you who do not know, fire bee is pastel, spider, and fire. And I am breeding her to Ozzy, my clown boy. I've had a few locks out of them, and what I'm shooting for there is going to be a Fire Bee Het Clown female is what I'm looking for. And then we got my boy here. This is Lenny. Lenny is a normal male, and as you can see, he's big. I've had him for about 10 years. I'm not breeding him yet because I don't have any females to put him to, but eventually I want to get a big multi-gene female and pair him to her. Let's see, who else? This is Butterscotch. See, she is my lesser. I do believe that she is Het Clown, which when she's big enough I'll be pairing her to Ozzy, my clown boy, as well. And then we got, this is Pleiades, my Phantom Inchy female. She may be ready at the end of this season. I don't know. She's still got a little bit of weight to put on yet. And then we got Pandora, my pied female. She's got a little bit more weight to put on too before I can breed her. But she'll be going to probably my Silver Streak male. And then this is Chaos. This is my normal female. When she gets big enough, I'm going to be pairing her to my Belle. I can get some bamboos and see what else is in there. Now, I don't want to show you guys all of them, just because I want something to show you later. This here is Xena's replacement that I'm growing up. She was sold to me as a pastel Het Clown. I have my suspicions that she's a super pastel. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it. I'm not going to show you my entire collection all in one video, because if I did that, that would be a long video. This one here is probably going to be long enough as it is. Now, like I said, if y'all have any questions about these rats, or about anything for that matter, send me a message down below, and I'll get to it. I'll answer it as best I can. Now, if you guys could leave a comment, maybe like, subscribe, that would help me out a whole lot. I mean, I'm trying to get these YouTube algorithms to kick in, trying to get my message out there, and yeah, well, it'll help me out tremendously. So, until next time, I want you guys to have yourselves a good day. Make sure everything's cool. Stay safe. Peace.